The opinions and comments expressed in this podcast are solely those of the students and do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of sjspr.radio or St. John's School.
You are tuning in to sjspr.radio. This is Senior Talk, the show where we pick seniors' brains about school life and real life. I'm your host, Sebastián Vázquez Guillemard, and joining me in this episode is my twin brother, Diego Vázquez Guillemard.
Good afternoon. Glad to be in today's episode, Sarah.
Of course. So, Diego, tell me about how your senior year is going so far. Is it fun? Is it hard? Or is it a kick in the behind?
Well, you could say it's been kind of a mixture. On one hand, it was pretty fun, but on the other hand, it was basically a roller coaster of work. Basically having to juggle between schoolwork, college applications, and as someone planning on studying art, portfolio.
Okay. Can you elaborate more on what this portfolio is in terms of application?
So basically, the portfolio is the most important piece that I need for college applications because a difference that art schools have between your typical MIT and Harvard is that they would pay more attention to your skills via your portfolio. Basically, your art portfolio is what tells the school about you and your academic or artistic interests.
All right. And how has the portfolio been working out for you?
You could say that I'm on the recta final of the portfolio. You're also there with me on making the portfolio, so technically we're both on the same boat with finishing the portfolio.
I mean, of course I would know. We live in the same house.
True.
Anyway, so that aside, what were your emotions or initial thoughts for the year on your first day? You know, during the senior takeover.
So during the first day, I had a lot of mixed emotions. Some of happiness because basically now we were on the final year and we were soon gonna graduate. But at the same time, I was anxious because now that I was on a final year, I was gonna have to not only make the most out of it, but also have to go out with a bang. And by bang, I would technically mean happy that I was on the final year and we were basically now the top students of the school. But on the other hand, I was anxious because now this means we're gonna have to be given the most complicated assignments and basically fill out our college applications. Because honestly, for me, it kind of felt like don't think it's weird, but for me, I interpreted it as some sort of life and death situation because it was now some sort of final gambit.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I can understand. I remember that on the first day of school, I was likewise excited that now we were on the final year of school. And let's just say that me, on one hand, on that first day, I was excited because now I just have one more year to handle, and I've handled already the past 3 years of high school. But on the other hand, I was anxious because after the last year, I'm going off to college. And in college, I got to learn how to fly solo, because I've been living in this nest that is my home, my parents' home, for years, and pretty soon I was gonna have to learn to fly out of the nest.
Me, I'm personally not too worried about having to fend off myself because I taught myself how to do some certain deeds, such as I taught myself how to cook a few meals. I mean, heck, I practically cooked meals for you every now and then.
Shut up. I mean, to be fair, you burned that pancake for breakfast this morning.
I did not cook pancakes this morning, and you know that.
I'm kidding. You didn't have to. Wait, seriously, did you have to diss me like that?
I'm just kidding. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Anyways, to start over, I'm not too worried about fending off for myself because I practically learned how to be self-reliant, such as I learned how to cook for myself, learned how to occasionally do a bit of shopping for myself. Our experience at RISD, it pretty much helped give me an insight about how my college life is gonna be.
I was also with you at RISD that summer. To give you all an understanding, RISD is an acronym for Rhode Island School of Design, And me and my brother this summer had gone to RISD, which is in Providence, Rhode Island, for a pre-college program to study art. My brother studied
Illustration.
and I studied game design. And there we had 3 kinds of classes. We had
Drawing foundation, design foundation, critical studies of art, and our majors, which in my case will be illustration.
and mine was game design. Basically, these included a lot of hard assignments, which shouldn't be that surprising because studying art in college is not really like drawing a doodle of a stickman in a house. No. It will probably be like if you're trying to redraw the Mona Lisa from scratch. Anyways, I also want to point out that when he brought up the thing about cooking, I know how to cook. He just cooks more. Anyways, if you had to describe your current experience in one word, what would it be?
I would say messy.
And why is that?
Because lately I've been noticing that a lot of scrambles have been going around within communities, and on top of that, politics.
Sorry, can you provide examples?
Well, I usually don't like to talk about this because I avoid politics at all costs, like I avoid getting sick, but because we're here, I think it's probably best that I address it.
Go ahead.
So, in terms of politics, I've been noticing that a lot of parties, in this case political parties, have been on each other's necks very aggressively and been developing some sort of strange ideologies within each other's rivalries to the point where it's becoming violent.
I can understand that. Now, for me personally, I would likewise also say that this year right now is messy, but not because of what you said, but mostly because of having to juggle between schoolwork, portfolio making, and college applications. It's made me feel like I have to be in a lot of places, and sometimes, like, if I have to be in more than one place at the same time, and obviously that's relatively impossible, and that wears me out because I understand that I have a lot of work to do right now because school and college applications, but I'm human.
Yeah, honestly, I can relate to that as well because for me, I'm someone that deals with certain anxieties. You've practically seen me deal with anxiety moments. So, of course, moments like this don't help my anxiety problems at all.
Yeah, I can kind of understand because ever since I can recall, you've been dealing with anxiety problems like almost all the time. Like,
well, I would say in the beginning of I wouldn't say the beginning. I would say somewhere in 9th grade was when I started developing them.
and why was that?
I don't know. Maybe it was because now of the fact that in high school, almost all my activity will be monitored and tracked on my college sort of footprint.
To give you an idea, that was because he's saying this because when we were in 9th grade, that was when we had the online learning year. Like, me and my brother spent 9th grade literally...
It was in 2020.
Google Meet, during the COVID outbreak. And my brother was also, and me as well, but me and my brother, we were pretty scared about the fact that now, from 9th grade to 12th grade, everything we did would matter for college. So we had to be careful and make sure we did the right choices. And, of course, me and my brother were always well-behaved, but the fact that they would be watching us, quote-unquote, really scared us. Now, do you remember how we were told by our parents and some friends that 12th grade is easier than 11th grade?
Not entirely. I do remember being told that the grades that would matter to your college application the most would be those of 11th grade.
But anyways, would you say that you agree or disagree with that? And why?
I'm not sure if I should agree or disagree with that because, well, obviously I'm still a bit new to understanding the college grade application and how it works. But I do sort of understand that why some say that senior year is easier because of the whole partying and chilling and other stuff you see in movies. I mean, we practically have a free block here compared to last year. So I guess that would understand why some would say it's easier.
All right.
But
Well,
truth be told, it's almost no different. The only difference is that my schedule has a free block.
So for me personally, I would say that I have to disagree that 12th is easier than 11th. Here's why. In 11th, so sparing the details of my schedule, in 11th, really the only class that I was concerned about was AP English language, which
Me too.
Which literally 9/10 of the entire grade took. And aside from that, all my other classes were not that rigorous, so I wasn't really that worried. Of course, I also had assignments, but they weren't that hard. And now for 12th grade is pretty hard for me, and although I can understand that people say, and I understand why people say that 12th grade is supposedly easier, and that's because you really kind of, the school has to go a little easy on you because you're kind of juggling schoolwork with college applications, but the applications themselves are not easy. And likewise, the schoolwork that you're being given is not easy either. And furthermore, I'm pretty sure that everyone in our grade is taking at least 2 AP classes, maybe more. And of course, we know how AP classes work. They have to the teachers have to teach at a fixed schedule to make sure they cover everything that the course covers, because then at the end of May you have a final test that covers all of that. So therefore, it can't really be like all the other classes where you can just fall asleep and let the current push you. You have to swim, if you get my drift.
Yeah, I do.
And then I remember that for me personally, it's kind of a little confusing about 12th grade having a second semester, because really the first one is what matters, because with college applications, your mid-year report, aka your first semester report card, matters. And then from there, in second semester, you're practically already finished with college applications, so there's really no need to stress. So personally, I think that 12th grade second semester, they only do that for legal reasons or something.
I don't know.
Anyways, how do you feel about juggling your schoolwork plus your college applications? And which one would you find to be the most challenging, and why?
Well, for starters, I find it stressing because I have to balance between two important works. One of school, because of course I need to graduate in order to get into college, and college applications because basically I'm now filling out the forms that I would need for all the universities that I'm applying to see. So of course, naturally, I'm a bit anxious and obsessive with keeping the application organized and the portfolio, of course.
Well, which one would you say is harder on you? Schoolwork or applications?
I'm gonna go with college applications.
And I'm pretty sure that almost everyone in the grade can agree.
So, schoolwork is not harder because some schedules are pretty lenient. And in this case, certain deadlines of works are pretty much a bit lenient than others. And I can sort of balance for that. I also admittedly stay up a bit late to do some of the works when no one's looking. But getting back to the question, college applications, I would say those are the most challenging because, like I said it before, I'm sort of a neat freak. So naturally, I am pretty paranoid on keeping my application as organized and abiding by all the requirements as much as possible.
Personally, same with you. I find college applications to be a little more stressful and difficult, but that's mainly because of the portfolio. Now, colleges, when you submit a portfolio, they typically ask to see 15 to 20 pieces of your best work. And of course, my dad, who's an architect, he actually went through the same process.
Our dad.
Sorry. Our dad. I got caught in the heat at the moment. So anyways, our dad, who is an architect and actually applied to Cornell and went there, he got accepted. He went through the same process because he studied architecture, of course, and where he had to submit a portfolio. and he's actually helping us. But the thing is that with the portfolio, although I do know that it's important that I get it done as soon as possible, the thing is that I just can't bring myself to get too focused on it for long periods of time because, like I said, I have other places that I need to be in. So it's kind of hard for me to dedicate too much attention to one thing when other things call for my attention. And the portfolio, of course, is what literally takes up a vast majority of my time. I mean, I have gotten a lot of pieces done. Of course, I have more than 15 already, but it's still stressful because our dad is trying to get us to do a couple more so we can have a little more variety, and I can understand why he wants us to do that. But
the more the merrier, as some say.
But personally, it's just really tiring me out. And it's tiring you out too, I'm sure.
It is.
Now, in terms of school, how would you rank your classes in terms of favorite to least favorite, or hardest to easiest? Without offense to the teachers, of course.
So basically, I would sort of say that my favorite one will be AP 2D Art and Design because, of course, I'm planning on studying art, in this case illustration, or something related to it at least. And basically for AP Art, I'm practically being given the liberty to draw based on a certain theme that we picked at the beginning of the year. For me, I chose feelings in the 21st century. So at the moment, I'm practically still I'm still finishing up certain artworks.
How many have you done so far?
Honestly, I would rather not say.
Fine by me. And which class would you say is the hardest?
Honestly, I'm not really too sure. Some might say calc because, of course, some of the materials there can be pretty confusing. But on other times, you might say AP Psych. I mean, we're both taking it because half the time the work that we get there is pretty tiring.
Yeah.
No offense to the one teaching it, of course.
Yeah, so for an idea, in AP Psychology, we have presentations, we watch videos, and we then do activities and worksheets about the modules that we cover. But the thing is that, like, we also get outlines and reviews that we have to do, and they do take up a lot of time. But the good news is that they do give a lot of points and cushions for participation and homework completion. So that's a good thing we got going on. And personally, I think it compensates for having to spend a lot of time working on it because they do give us a lot of points. So then in the unlikely event that if we don't do well on tests, we get a little leverage. Now, me personally, I can't say I have a favorite or least favorite because really I like all of my classes. So
honestly, I sort of like all the classes too, but just that I like AP 2D Art a bit more than the others in general.
Yeah. For me, I like AP Psychology because it's actually pretty interesting to learn about psychology because I've always been wondering how does the mind work, mostly because we have a younger brother who suffers with autism, and the question of what hangs in his mind has been haunting me for years.
Yeah.
And also, likewise, I've gotten pretty interested in coding, so I'm taking AP Comp Sci A. It's hard, but it's fun.
Yeah.
So, now tell me, how does your average day as a high school senior go in general?
It really depends on the work schedule. Most of the time, it can be pretty chill, but other times it can be pretty stressful, such as an event where I have a test on a certain day. I can sort of be pretty stressed and in certain classes sort of sneak in a certain time of studying. Like, for example, if I have a test on calc and I'm in English, I might sneak on the computer or on the notes a small little calc practice.
You do realize that the teacher's probably gonna hear this, and he's probably now gonna know your little
Don't worry,
habit.
Don't worry. As a multitasker, I can pay attention and study at the same time.
Well,
So I can assure
guess
you
there's
that during those moments, I am paying attention to the class. I said it as an example in English, not saying that I do it in English.
No, I'm just saying, be careful with your words.
Too.
Yeah, I'm just goofing off. But anyways, for me, it also kind of depends really on the work schedule, but here's basically like a general overview of how my day really goes. I have my classes, and then what I do in my free period, which is block 2, by the way, what I do there is, it really depends. Sometimes if I have a lot of work, I just take the time to catch up on those works. Other times, if I have like a supplemental or something college related that I need to do, I do that. Sometimes I would really go to Whitman and Doron's office so I can ask for assistance on my supplementals. Oh, literally last week or the week before, I went every free block to Doron and Whitman's room because, let's say I was applying to 3 colleges that week, which I did. And otherwise, if I have really nothing else going on, like I don't have a lot of homework to do, nor I have a lot of college deadlines hanging on me, I really just goof off on my phone.
Yeah, sometimes what I do on my free block, it's pretty mixed. Sometimes I do my work, if I have any. Other times I just do other things. In this case, typically not those that are related to academics, but those for, relaxing. And other times I go to the Marbella to Whitman for college application review. And sometimes I go to Paloma's office in the event where I'm feeling, stressed. Like a few days ago where I had an anxiety mania and I went to Paloma's in order to, talk it out with someone.
Oh,
Shout
yeah.
out to Paloma Purcell, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I was eating lunch and then I didn't see you until like 30 minutes later, and then you told me you were in her office.
Yeah.
All right. When you get home, what do you like to do there?
Let's see. I like to watch movies, series. I like to draw, listen to music, and even play a bit of guitar. You've seen me play the guitar.
Yeah, you and we have like a little band, so.
True.
But for a little clarity, I'm the lead singer. He's also he's a guitarist, but
I'm also lead singer.
But he also sings.
I'm also lead singer in a few songs, so don't get cocky. Your hubris will be your downfall.
That's not really making sense here right now, but really, you're most of the time the backup singer. Okay, I'm kidding. But anyways, yeah, we have a band, and we're guitarists and singers. Just that sometimes I sing a little bit more, but he still sings as well.
Yeah, I don't know why, but sometimes I have this small little feeling of whenever I hear myself speaking, I think of my voice as fine. But whenever I see it in a recording, such as in a video, then I'm like, oh my god, that voice sounded... No. I'm like, oh, holy crud, that voice sounds horrible.
So it's kind of like a bias that's going on in your head that what you say, like that you think that what you say is good, but when you hear it being repeated to you, then it's not good. Like, that's what you're saying?
Sort of.
All right. And now, as for me, I personally do more or less the same things as Diego just said. I like to draw sometimes. I like to watch TV, mostly Netflix and movies. I don't really watch cable TV because...
There's nothing interesting there.
Yeah. And sometimes I play guitar like we had already established. We play electric guitar, by the way. And sometimes I like to ride my electric skateboard that's called a one wheel. Practically everyone's seen me in that thing by now. And if you haven't, what have you been doing with your life?
Chill.
Yeah, I'm kidding. And my brother has one too.
Yeah, we do.
And sometimes I like to play games on my Xbox. And let's say that ever since 12th grade has arrived, I've had this weird habit that every day after school, I just go to my room and take a nap.
I'm pretty sure a lot of us are having that, and sometimes just going on our phones, checking social media around, or occasionally watching little videos. stuff to ease our minds, especially if some may deal with anxiety.
Yeah, we all have our ways of coping with stress. It's just that usually napping is my way and yours is...
Well, watching series or videos.
Alright. So you had already established in the beginning that you wish to pursue illustration or animation. Why is that?
I don't know. I guess just that I've been drawing for a long time, practically since I was very young, and it just sort of feels pretty liberating to be able to sketch out my own fictional world.
So in a way, it's basically because you like to turn what's in the mind into reality.
Yeah, and I also like to draw in order to on certain times where I feel like I'm suffocating from stress, and whenever I draw, it just makes me feel like I'm practically...
It's like your little escape from reality.
Yeah, it feels like an escape from reality, and it just feels very liberating because I can let out any feeling that I have bottled up inside me.
All right.
Especially because expressing them verbally to some people isn't exactly my strongest suit.
So in this case, for you it's easier to express things on paper or on whatever
Canvas.
media you use. Yeah, canvas, than it is to say them in words.
Pretty much.
Does this come from your anxiety?
Pretty much.
All right, and as for me, I want to study game design, and the reason is because, like I said earlier, I like to play games. The thing is, I like to play games a lot.
Yeah, I've seen you play them.
Yeah, I'm better than my brother at practically everything.
You practically once got in trouble for playing literally 12 hours nonstop.
That did not happen, and you know it.
And much like you know that you're not better at everything than I am.
I didn't say I'm better at everything, just at the games I play.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so anyways, I like to play games because, like I said, I enjoy playing games like all the time, and okay, not literally all the time, but figuratively speaking. Except that when I was like in middle school, I literally would play almost all the time and literally all the time. And well, my parents weren't that happy. Let's say that I would really play games on my iPad. Likewise, my brother played games too, just that most of the time when he was on the iPad, he wouldn't really be playing games as much as I did. He would sometimes be on, I think it was YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Admittingly, I sort of had a habit of doing that back in 7th grade.
Yeah. Basically, when I play games like, Minecraft, Terraria, Five Nights at Freddy's, yada yada, you name it, I might have played it. Anyways, what happens is that when I play video games, it allows me the chance to control the character that I'm playing, and then in turn, it allows me to control what's going on in the environment, the virtual environment, that is. And really, it just gives me like a sense of control, and it calms me from the painful reality that I'm having right now with having to do a lot of work. And also because, like I said, playing video games is a stress reliever that I have besides napping, and it's also something I just like doing. Now, is there anything else that you have from your life outside of school that you would like to share?
Well, the only other thing that can come to mind is that on weekends we typically go to Breñas, which is next to Dorado. And many times I like to go there because it just feels like an escape from all the stress that I have in the school.
Yeah, for a little clarity, me and my brother and my family, we have a beach house in this estate's place called Breñas Estate, which is by Dorado. And basically, we go there almost every weekend. It's a 20 to 30 minute drive from here, by the way. And we go there basically just to be by the beach and just relax. We use that as a chance to really escape our repetitive workaholic-like cycle that occurs in the week. The only thing is that for some reason, most times when I wake up in the mornings, I get allergic reactions. I'm starting to think that it's because of the palm trees that are near our house, because they drop pollen, and I am I'm freakishly allergic to that.
And at times, some pillows that are there have feathers, and basically to this day, we don't know why, but you have a more tense feather allergy than I do.
Yeah, I'm not,
especially cat hair.
Yeah, for a little clarity, the only things that me and my brother are really allergic to are pollen, dust, things that have feathers like pillows or couches.
Or just say feathers.
Because I'm not really allergic to pigeon feathers.
When's the last time you even touched a pigeon feather in your eye?
Not on my eye, man. It doesn't matter. Okay, fine. Feathers and cat hair. And I actually used to be allergic to dogs, but then when my parents got us a dog for 4th grade, my body started getting used to having a dog around the house, and this allergy waned, and I'm not allergic to dogs anymore. And our dog, we named her Petunia. Well, our mom named it because me and my brother, we couldn't really think of...
me and her.
Really?
I mean, yeah.
Okay, well, I couldn't really think of anything interesting to name the dog. I remember that I wanted to call it something interesting like Volcano or Ribjaw.
Really?
Okay, well, I didn't say those, but I wanted to give it a cool name. Our dog's a female, by the way. But yeah, I wanted to give our dog like a cool name, but I couldn't really think of anything. And even if I did, the ideas wouldn't fit. And our dog, she's nice and all, but here's one thing I gotta tell about her.
She doesn't like dogs.
Like, she completely detests them. Or is it abhor?
Despise. Let's go with despise.
She despises other dogs. Like, anytime she sees another dog, she's gonna start barking at them for like...
until they leave her line of sight.
And this isn't like... I'm just... pretty chill barking. This is like really loud barking. Like, barking so loud that I think I can hear from the other side of my condominium building. It's not just other dogs that she doesn't like. She also hates vehicles that have... that
loud motors.
Are very loud or have loud motors, like in this case, motorcycles.
Yeah.
Same deal with other dogs. If our dog spots them, she's gonna start barking hysterically at him. And I love our dog, but sometimes she drives us nuts. Oh. Where were we? Aside from, before we got to the dog?
Like, we were talking about life outside of school, and then I brought up Breñas.
Oh, yeah. Our parents have been going to Breñas actually
since 7th grade.
Yeah, we bought her the beach house back in 9th grade. What had happened was that before then, in 7th grade, our parents have friends that live there. Well, don't live there, but have houses there. And one of my friends allowed my mom to be able to rent it, and we did. And ever since then, we just kept coming back. Of course, however, that's not the same house that we bought. That was a different house. But the house that we bought is still good.
Yeah.
Of course, the allergies were what I never liked. But can't do anything about them, I guess. All right, you want to ask me a question?
Well, how would you describe your experience here in St. John's, especially as twins?
Okay, so as twins, as a normal person in St. John's, I would say that my experience is just like any other. I go to school, I take my classes, and often complain about how much work I have. And then when class ends, I want to get out as soon as possible. But as twins, it actually presents a different kind of challenge and situation that we present ourselves in. Like, for starters, let's say that, so if it was like fraternal twins, then people will be able to distinguish us easily. But the thing is, you and I, we're identical. So this means that every so often, people are going to confuse us.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
Yeah, a lot of people would tend to confuse us, and especially it doesn't help with the whole thing of stereotyping twins, such as, of course, I can name a few stereotypes that we were given, not just by some students here in school, but by
literally throughout life.
Yeah, some would ask questions like, who's older?
And I would just want to, sorry to interrupt, but I just want to clarify on that. if I had $1 every time we were asked that question, I think we would be richer than Elon Musk.
Anyways,
it's okay. Sorry.
As I was saying, other than that of who's older, they would ask really silly questions like, "Can you read each other's minds? If I hit you, will the other one feel it too?" Basically a bunch of hocus pocus.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're watching too much fiction.
Science fiction. And now I'm gonna come here and address those stereotypes. So with who was born first,
we have no idea.
And I do know that there are some cases where maybe the twins might know or the parents might know, but literally no one in her family knows. The only person that I think would know is the surgeon that conducted the surgery. We were born C-section, by the way.
You don't have to share too much.
Sorry. But anyways, we don't know where they are. So we do not know who was born first. So please stop asking.
Please.
And personally, I think it's kind of funny, but from another angle, it really drives me nuts because I've been asked this question forever. And believe me when I say this, that if you get asked the same question over and over in life, it's going to get to you.
Yeah.
And what was the other stereotype that you presented?
Can you read each other's minds? And if I hit you, will the other one feel it too?
Well, okay, so for can we hear each other's minds? I'm pretty sure that if we could, you would have known by now, and we would have told you. But no, we do not, because that is ESP, and it's just not possible to read another person's mind, because how am I going to do that? Am I just going to look at them blank in the face and then just
stare?
That's just creepy. And then for what was the last one? Oh yeah, if one of us gets hurt,
then the other one gets hurt. I don't know. No.
Let's see about that.
No.
Did that hurt? See? Doesn't hurt. Now let's try something. Did you feel pain?
Not at all.
See, we don't feel each other's pain because keep in mind we're two different human beings. We're not one person. So we're literally two people that have different ideas, behaviors, and lives. We're not like a fusion, literally, or of anything.
Honestly, I don't want to sound rude, but honestly, it's the ignorance of certain people that surprises me. Yeah. And I don't want to sound offensive saying it, but it just sort of surprises me.
And also, I just want to point out that just because we're identical doesn't mean that we cannot be distinguished. If you're actually known us for years, you would actually already know by now who is who. Yeah, of course, though, there are some people that haven't known us for a long time, so it's reasonable that they would make mistakes, but just know that we can be distinguished, and we are two different people. We're Sebastián and Diego, not a fusion of those two. Now, what would you say is the important takeaway, personally, that you believe will serve you best when you leave St. John's and when you enter to your adult life?
Honestly, I'm not sure. At most, I only just wanna... I just basically wanna do good in school and have many good connections as possible with the classmates and be able to study what makes me happy.
Yeah, but me personally, I think that my takeaway would be that it's good to have some fun here and there when you want to try to have a life outside of St. John's, but you got to remember that fun is not everything. You got to know the definition of work, because at the end of the day, work is what gets you ahead in life.
And what sort of keeps you alive.
In a way, yes. And I've also learned a couple things. Don't procrastinate.
Yeah. If I can give a piece of advice to anyone here is, don't procrastinate, don't sleep through it. I've done it multiple times throughout high school, and it was not fun.
Yeah, believe me when I say this. Trust me when I say this. I understand that you do not want to work a lot, that you likely don't want to do work right now in the present, but do keep in mind that if you don't do it now, no one else is going to do it for you, and really you're just waiting until a later time to do it.
And it's sort of like a snowball rolling down a snow hill. It's just going to keep growing and growing until
it gets to a point beyond turning back.
And it just crashes and leaves a mess everywhere.
So take it from me, do the work now, And one day, your future self is going to pat you on the back for this. Or they're going to thank you for this. Well, that's about it for now. But before we go, I want to thank my brother, Diego Vázquez, and fellow senior, for taking the time to be with me today.
Honestly, the pleasure was all mine, and I, once again, thank you for inviting me into today's episode.
No problem. Just don't go on home without me. Just wait for me before we go home. I'm kidding. Now, if you're a senior and you haven't signed up yet, contact our radio and creative media coordinator, Pilar Alamo, at palamo@sjspr.org or 787-948-8986. If you send a text, please include your name. For SJSPR Radio and Senior Talk, this is Sebastián Vázquez Guillemard. Until next time!